Well, good afternoon, Van Buren family. Today we are all dealing with a little bit of the shock of the change. Certainly, we've had much information to process this week, and most importantly today, with the news, the notices of layoffs, and such notices are never good. I want to first and foremost validate with you that this is feeling crappy is because it's supposed to. It's make us worry, and at a time like that, worrying is normal. I'm sure you are having questions about your future finances. Your ability to trust the systems that are supposed to deliver your sustenance. And today certainly I'm with you in experiencing the loss that means, and trying to get to what will be next is tough. It's normal to feel upset and anxious and even worried. So I'm the first one to acknowledge that, and hope we can navigate through this next few days and weeks of questions and answers, and frankly some disappointments, in a way that we can best do it together. So nonetheless, our mission continues, and I want to take the time to give you just a few updates. And obviously, we have some logistical challenges ahead of us with these new schedules for the next 10 weeks. Many people will be off either Mondays or Fridays, and that changes, the way that we face the operation. So I've asked managers to keep the information about their units' days off on the Outlook calendar, and you can help yourself and help your team by updating your Outlook calendar as well, making sure that you enter the days that you are out of the office in there. This will serve as an efficient reminder to you and help your teammates to know of your availability. Also communication is going to be key, so I'll ask that you put your voicemail messages indicating the days that you're off, and that you also take the time to create the email responses so that folks know which days you are not available, and more importantly, that you tell the people that we serve when you will be available. So please make the time to create that. And certainly keep the questions coming. I've had several questions today, and we roll those up at least once a day, try to get some answers, clarification. When we don't know, we tell you, and we try to get the answer, but hopefully that helps you navigate the process. I really want to recognize, in general, the work of the FTW team. These field workers that have been doing the client contacts and field work. I really, am so impressed and thankful for the work that they've done for the community and for ourselves, as well as the staff back in the office. The clerical staff, the support staff that are back in the office supporting us, and also having to interact occasionally with the client who cannot be served otherwise. Their work, their sacrifice keeps the rest of us and our families safer. And that's a great service that they've done for their community as well as for the rest of us in the agency. I want to give you an update on the vulnerable adult calling project. We've done great service to perhaps some of the most isolated people in our community, and we've reached almost 300 out of those people in the initial list. So I want to thank you for making that a priority and getting that done in addition to your regular duties, and it means a lot to those people that we are contacting. In our public assistance front, we've got many changes announced this week. They range from CDC extension to the reviews, to Medicaid non-closures, Bridges Resource Center calls changes, changes to reinstatement, or advice on how to handle reinstatements for certain programs. We got further clarification on the pandemic EBT food assistance, and finally unemployment interface changes that were announced this week. Also, the FAP interview requirements are resuming beginning next week, and I want to send you a reminder too that the FAP emergency allotment for May, will take place as scheduled. We continue with our FAP accuracy efforts. This is of utmost importance, and we've developed. Your managers developed a checklist. I hope that that doesn't hinder too much your work, but rather helps you, answer the questions and process the changes accurately, as we need to do this season. In Children's Services, again, I want to thank you for the hard work you've done in prioritizing and making sure that you are doing video conferences for your child and family contacts. The data this week that we got this week shows that we've made great improvements. So thank you for making that a priority and getting creative in how to accomplish that. I want to thank you for completing the project too that involved helping the caregivers of children with chronic medical conditions be more aware of the COVID-19 risk factors. That was a special project that you were able to finish. Good timing on that, so I appreciate that. Our CPS outreach project also yielded some interesting and meaningful conversations with families. We've outreached to almost all the families in our list, and that's been of great value to those people. And also an important thing to keep in mind coming up in the next few weeks with the scheduled layoffs. Many of you in Children's Services will find conflicts with scheduled court hearings. So I ask you to start looking forward and identify where your layoff day may conflict with a scheduled court hearing, and get with your supervisor to resolve the conflict, get with the court, see what updates or what alternatives can be done to make sure that we have department representation in those court hearings. I've notified the court that this is coming, so they are aware. So, in this season, we continue to have to be keenly aware of how we're doing emotionally through all these changes, and we have to check our emotional well-being. We have to be intentional about that. Certainly, some of the activities that we do together, business and non-business, are helpful. But we must remember that loneliness is emotional, and isolation is structural. So that loneliness that we may feel at times is really an emotional response to a lack of connection. And that can happen in an office too while we're doing business in the office. But I think in this season we are more prone to be susceptible to that. And you have to remain intentional about connecting with friends. I can't say that enough. To family, to coworkers, even to random people, when safely to do so in this COVID-19 world. Isolation, on the other hand, that's more related to access. That's more structural, and when you don't have access, and so you can feel isolated when you don't have the materials or the information that you need, or you may think that whatever you're doing, your great work, is not recognized or noticed, and you might feel a little bit cut off from the business. So in that area, we continue to work very hard to make sure that you are not isolated as you work from home. And we'll continue to address that issue the best that we can. And I commit to keeping you informed and remaining constant in and intentional about letting you know how impactful and significant the work that you are doing is for the community. And that's my commitment to you. As I often say when I communicate with so many of you, my commitment is that your sacrifice, your dedication will never go unnoticed. I hope that you try to do your best to enjoy this weekend, a little time away from the stress of work, and if we get some decent weather like we've seem to have gotten now towards the end of Friday here, that you get to do something of enjoyment and something that you can really be perhaps out of doors and enjoying with your loved ones. So take care, and until next time.